So I just watched a video on weird books that were sold to the public. Um like old texts, like fucking 14th, 15th century texts or whatever. And there was one that piqued my interest called the Book of Soiga, or Alba something, I don't know. Anyway, I downloaded some of it on the Kindle, and it's in Latin, some kind of pre-Latin language that's been translated. And it was said that this book, as I looked into it, I was just reading up on it. It was said that John Dee tried to find a meaning in this book and he couldn't. Right? Well, I didn't really get into John Dee until recently when I learned he was interested in becoming a master scryer. Some sort of knowledge I have been obtaining that seems to have been unlocked in some instance. Um, Scrying is not an act of just looking in a crystal ball or a TV or a glass. Scrying is just observing your surroundings and noticing the patterns. And you can start to see the patterns, and you can, do a lot of other shit by learning the patterns. Well, I started reading this book, the Book of Soiga, which I plan to dive deeper into, but just getting through the first 10 or 15 pages, and I understand it somewhat. There's certain things I'm still uncertain on. As I'm reading this book, it is literally describing everything that has been in my mind and my imagination over a period of a couple, even longer, of months, but especially the past couple of months. Now, this is odd because it's connecting the things that I have connected with different astrological sequences, right? As well as numbers. And I'm starting to unravel myself, and I'm reading this book, and it's literally describing every thought I've been having. And it's like a fucking instruction manual. It feels like this book was meant for me to read. Have you ever felt that way? No, I've felt that way about books before. I'm like, oh, this book is really cool. When I read this 11th century occult text, and I love to read, so I've studied into a lot of books, but I'm no expert, right? To claim that I am would be foolish, and perhaps I am a fool because it says this is a book that'll kill you. But then again, I believe reading is education. I don't think it's going to kill you. But reading this book, just 10 or 15 pages into it, is describing these complex thoughts that I've had that I've not been able to get out on paper or enunciate into actual verbiage, right? And this fucking book from the 16th century that is in Latin and been translated and studied by John Dee, who didn't understand it, I fucking understand. What is happening?